evening, everyone. I would first like to thank MoEngage for this opportunity. Uh, I think we got a little bit of introduction of what we're talking. So let me just rewind a little back. We're going to talk about communication platform as a service. And of course, we're going to focus a lot on WhatsApp because that drives that business a lot. But just for the audience, communication platform as a service is nothing but for you to use a platform where it enables you with different kinds of mobile communication channels like SMS, email, WhatsApp, and others. And through those channels, you're able to now engage with the consumers, which I heard, there are two types, the India 1, India 2, both of them, very effectively. And that's the new age of interaction where the consumers are looking forward to. So I'm going to delve into it a little more. But before that, there is always, I come from a customer success background, so I always like to open the point with a focus on what I always believe is the customer experience. And everything revolves around that, right? So you can build a great stack of technology, communication channels, creatives, but the end of the day, what you care for is the customer experience. So I'm going to draw some analogy and some metaphors with what is happening right now. And I think right now what's happening is the World Cup. And cricket is the fever in the country. Cricket is right in the hearts of our people. We celebrate cricket, right? We are passionate about it. And I'm just trying to take some lessons out of this cricketing world today. I'm not against any other sport. We had 107 medals. There's a lot of lessons to learn there as well. But I'm just trying to put some things in context from the event which is happening right now. So as I said, and cricketing in world, there's a lot of things like the team effort, the strategy, right, the approach, the killer instinct, and a lot of things which comes together is also part of our business life. And one of the things which I remember is the 2011 World Cup. And the strategy was fantastic. And so just imagine people were our consumers. They were expecting that, okay, we were playing Sri Lanka in the finals and it was Yuvraj Singh, I believe, was supposed to walk out. And suddenly Mahendra Singh Dhoni walks out. The strategy was very clear that he wanted to play Muttiah Muralidharan because he was a right-handed batsman, and things unfolded, and we all know what happened. The idea is that the consumers are also going to be very different every time you connect with them. And that's the mindset, right? Like you're not going to have a same scenario, same situation every time. So the experiences are going to change, and that surprise factor will always keep you hooked with your customer and build that customer delight. The other one is a very latest one, and which is more about the team effort. So while we have the technology, while we have the greatest of communication channels, I think the entire supporting ecosystem plays a very important role in building the customer experience. And it's a team effort, right? So something which we just saw probably 3-4 days back is, your bowlers can do as much they can do, but at the end of the day, it's a collective effort. And that's what Virat did with Bumrah. And I think in our way of business life as well, there's a lot which we do. And I think I'm just going to spend a couple of more minutes and then probably connect these points back to what I'm trying to convey here. And finally, I think there is a great support system. And this is very interesting. I saw, if you would have seen India-Australia match, there were a lot of these India cricket support staff team around the ground. And they were not supposed to be there, but they were there just probably, putting towels to their players and offering waters and whatnot, and which was never seen before, just because they were trying to manage their players in that temperature. So it was basically trying to be there where the customers are, be there as a support system, and ensure your customer is also successful. So these are some of the lessons which I learned. And with MoEngage and InfoWeb as a partner, we try to focus on these aspects a lot. So we try to ensure that there is a personalization, there is a personal experience to the customer, and we do it in a very different manner, which we will delve into as we move ahead. So where do we start from? So we start from, let's say, a lot of fragmented touch points of our consumers, right? Your consumers come to you through digital channels, physical channels, social media, various touch points. And what you want is basically have a seamless experience of engagement and customer delight. So from various touch points where probably MoEngage will engage you, then comes the communication part where Infobip can also help you communicate with your customers on those different touch points. So how do we do that? So before how do we do that? We also observed there are a lot of challenges, but they also are converting into opportunities. And I think the gentleman before me was exactly talking about that. But I'm going to touch upon on the challenges of the customer behavior more than the market opportunity which got discussed before. So what is the preference today, right? This is a Gartner study which said that 70% of Indian consumers would start preferring messaging as their primary channel to interact with a brand. And why is it so? And absolutely no guesses for it, because we have about 550 million plus WhatsApp users in our country today, out of approximately 900 million or 850 million smartphones. So that tells you the story that people are there already. More than 2 hours of daily time spent in that messaging channel. That also tells you that how much window you have, right? And there is a tremendous amount of trust which is built around that particular engagement, which means you have a consumer where you want. The idea is to now reach out to that consumer in a right fashion, which we will again talk about it. But then that's the window. And the second reason is why consumers would also like their brands to be there is because of sheer convenience, right? Now that you have a chatting facility, different languages available, you will be able to interact at any point in time. Responses can be expected any point in time, and you are always connected, right? So to enable that, how do you convert that into opportunity is to automate, right? That's where you now seeing a lot of automation happening on chatting apps. So you have an IVR, you have a bot, and you are basically deflecting a voice call into a messaging app, from a messaging app on a chatbot, and from a chatbot to a live agent, right? So these are the new trends of how brands are able to effectively connect with the customers where the customers prefer. And finally, they demand a seamless experience. So imagine a scenario where we received a message, we clicked on a link, and then you depended on an internet which took you to a web page, and then the web page somehow opened depending on how you were connected. And then the experience starts from there, where it's so passive. You as a consumer are only trying to read through information, but you're not able to really have an interactive session to grab more information. That's the seamless experience which you can now manage within the same channel. Again, because days where we were only broadcasting messages are no more accepted in the market. People want that if you send me a message, I respond back, and I expect a reply again, which is very instant today. So these are the challenges which we had are now getting converted into opportunities, and we have seen some great results happening through that. So as a brand, where do you start, right? You start from the point where you have a product displayed on that messaging channel. Very simple, right? I mean, you just got a message you saw, and you saw a product image exactly the way somebody would have found it on an app or on a website, right? The moment you saw the image, you now nudge for an action. That action is simply clicking a button there. The button leads to probably a bigger image of the product with a description. Then it leads to probably a catalog, right? From a catalog, if you have multiple SKUs, you lead them to a category. From a category, then you can lead them to the next action, which can be a checkout, can be add to cart, and finally you can have payments done and also your NPS. So you basically took the entire customer journey on a messaging app, which is what we were talking about in the previous slide of a seamless experience happening inside the messaging channel. Now, where do you go with this? You can actually go across the globe because OTT app channels have made this available. Now, why I've put this slide is because typically most prominent communication mobile channels had lot of restrictions when you looked at a global business model. But OTT apps work very seamlessly across the globe, except barring some countries, I understand, but otherwise, and that is where you are able to build a templatized, standardized story for your customers across the country. So this is just a glimpse of where Facebook Messenger and WhatsApps are. Unfortunately, the colors are swapped. I don't know why. Facebook Messenger has to be blue, but that's green here, and WhatsApp is blue. But more or less, both channels operate under the same umbrella. And then, this is my last slide before I drop you onto a video. What are the use cases? I mean, initially, when we looked at WhatsApp as a conversational channel, most of the brands said this is a great channel to have a customer support. Instead of we queuing up agents and drawing a lot of phone calls, this is a great channel where people can chat back and people can type. But then, as we progressed, we realized that it's not only a support channel. So the use cases start right from an identification or an awareness. So there's a great amount of promotional activities. We are right in the festival season, and I'm sure you're seeing that. There's a great amount of opportunity for marketing your products and services. Obviously, you don't want to get into the privacy space with proper consent with your consumers. But where there's a consent, there's a great opportunity of marketing your product using WhatsApp, using other OTT app channels. You can lead to promotions, you can do lead generations. We were just talking before this event about how click on ads can now lead you to WhatsApp channels. So you have an ad on a social page, you click on it, and actually you land on a WhatsApp window, and it opens up a great opportunity for you to actually interact with somebody who has just clicked on an ad. Now imagine a scenario like this before, where you just had advertisements and you kept, as a marketer, kept tracking what was your CTRs, and then decided what should be your next action on that. Right now, you have an option of actually engaging a lead right at that time when the consumer has clicked on the ad. So this is the power right now as far as marketing and promotional messages is concerned on a OTT channel. And then we have seen that as the product has matured, you're now able to do a commercial activity with your consumer. So you're able to engage with the consumer on requirement gathering, you're able to ensure product descriptions, you can able to close the customer on the channel itself, and then move on to the final leg where you do a customer services as well. So in a nutshell, I'm already time up, but what I'm trying to say is that the conversational experience on OTT apps is fantastic. We have a huge base, and I'm sure if brands position themselves absolutely in a very personalized manner with their consumers, I think it's a great channel to engage with your customers. All right, so this is what I was talking about. Fantastic. So that brings to the end of my presentation. I think anyone needs more information, MoEngage, InfoWeb teams are around. Please have a chat with us and have a good evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shankar, for the lovely presentation and insightful presentation. You talked about WhatsApp messaging, how it can help brands to turn their challenges into opportunities. Would like to do a little more of deep dive into the topic. So I'll start with my first question. So InfoWeb has become a key player in the CPaaS industry, right? So would love to understand that how does InfoWeb help brands with challenges while leveraging omni-channel approach, like scaling or simplifying customers' workflow, integrations, etc., etc.
Sure. Yeah, I think I've been in this industry for last 15 years now with telco and CPaaS, and I have seen and I have worked through times where I was into business of selling 2G services as well. So today nobody talks about it. We are already talking about 6G now. The reason I'm making this point is because at that time, A2P messaging, which is application to a person, was largely based on SMS, and then probably we also migrated on email. And if you look at the way and that got into the DNAs of our promotional activity. We thought broadcasting was the way where we reached out to customers, and SMS for variety of reasons. One was access, the other one was probably the cheapest of all the channels in terms of personalized communication, and so we adopted SMS, and I don't say that SMS is still not relevant. It is pretty much relevant, but it is relevant to a particular industry now, right? So if your OTPs are coming on SMS, you want them on SMS. I mean, that's easy and it's faster, but it's not necessary that it should not go on any other channels. That's the change which probably now we will see soon coming in. And I'll come to the point how InfoWip can influence that. But I just want to set the context in saying that we just got stuck to certain ideas of communication with customers. We said OTP on SMS. If you look at financial vertical, a lot of banks still feel that email is my channel to send a statement of your account, every first of the month. That's not necessary. If I get it on a WhatsApp, what's wrong in it? I mean, that's the question. But then they feel email is more authenticate. I mean, we all know how many email accounts get hacked every time, right? So is that a right story? I'm not sure. But that is ingrained into the banking system that, okay, we'll keep sending mails every time. You look at most of the financial institutions, they rely a lot on emails. Probably that's how the industry has adopted that channel to be. But then the new age companies, especially the digital companies, probably you'll see very less of an SMS or an email coming. And they are very actively engaging with consumers in the new age channels. Now the problem is, I'm not probably demeritating any channel here. Every channel has its own importance, and I, being an InfoWip personally, we probably engage in all channels. But how does an enterprise orchestrate this entire channel? Why? Is because you still have, and I really like that slide with the gentleman who presented saying we have a large population, I think about 65% in the age of 15 to 35, who basically relate to the point which I was trying to make, where messaging is a preference. But if you still have a large population above 45 and 60, they would rather still want to have an email or an SMS coming to them. If you look at the other demography which was presented, that we still have about 30 odd percent or 25% plus kind of people in rural areas. Mm-hmm. And if you look at our telecom landscape, we still have about 24% of connections running on 2G networks. That means they will not, or not 2G network as such, but on a feature phone, I would say. They have an availability of 3G, 4G, but the handsets are not capable to deal on 3G, 4G. Which means what? That feature phone can only receive an SMS. It cannot receive any OTT messaging. And that's a huge set of population which resides in that area. So the demographics are very difficult as far as our country is concerned, which means you need all channels. So how do an enterprise then design their communication strategy? And that is where we as InfoWip, come up to organizations to say, okay, this is a platform, and you integrate and it will orchestrate your communication strategy as you decide, as you plan, as you strategize for different demographics, different segments, different target audiences. That's where we influence through CPaaS as a channel. And that's again something which is not only channels, but it also then builds up to automations and software as a service applications, chatbots, AI, and all that stuff. So it's a complete stack which an enterprise can integrate, and as I was saying, can serve different stratas of customers. That's where we play a role, and I think WhatsApp takes center stage because organically the presence of the app has made that possible.
Understood. Very well said. So this brings me to my next question to Riddhika. Right, WhatsApp is becoming a very pivotal channel for all the businesses these days, right? And every business are looking to engage with their customers with omni-channel approach. So how exactly does WhatsApp gel with the other channels in the communication strategy for a brand?
Actually, very true, right? So I don't think so omni-channel is any more a new concept. It's been there, sort of already there. But what's pivotal to understand today is that every brand needs to do A, B, C, D in terms of their marketing, in terms of their commerce, in terms of literally their entire landscape of how to really reach and convert their users, right? At least from a WhatsApp standpoint, what I definitely recommend is the beauty of WhatsApp is it's not just for the marketer, it's also for the product folks, it's also for sales and commerce, right? So to have the organization look it from an entire point of view would make things much easier, right? Now, to just give an example, right? And I personally really like the example. Just right now, there was a mention on the traffic and Bangalore, which reminds me of Bangalore Metro. So, Bangalore Metro, we've enabled where you can do ticketing via WhatsApp, right? Imagine Bangaloreans are almost doing 500K tickets per month via WhatsApp, right? Even in Delhi, we've just launched it. So, all of you Delhi folks, we've just launched booking a ticket on WhatsApp, right? Now, as a marketer, yes, you do use it to promote it as a channel. But what is important is imagine if this is an inbuilt strategy within your product, it really helps you, right? And from a comms perspective, what's again very effective is we are literally right now in a festive month. Most of us, or at least either us or our friends or family, would have shopped from Amazon, from Flipkart. And you would have seen very beautifully, each brand would have done almost all of those things, right? For example, Flipkart, full newspaper, the one page, there were QR codes, right? I don't know if you guys saw. It was a very interesting take where you scan and then you're able to see the different product, the different offers. The same offer you can share via Facebook, where a user will see that and then they'll sort of go in the app. You do that via an in-app notification, right? So all of us, we use our phone day in and out. Literally, it'll be there sitting right here with us. But an in-app notification will only be valid for a user, say, if I've opened that app within like 4 to 6 hours. After that, honestly, if you send me a in-app notification, it's not really relevant for me. But if you send me a WhatsApp message instead, I know that, okay, yes, I can go back to that message. I can see, maybe I can save something in my wish list. And when the D-Day comes, when the sale comes, I can sort of really go and buy this. So in the entire journey, all the different channels sort of come in, and you as a brand need to figure out what is it that you're trying to solve with WhatsApp, and then that becomes the essence of your entire journey as a usage and as a channel.
Very correct. Yes, I think WhatsApp and all the channels, basically brands have to identify when to use, what to use, and how to use kind of a strategy. That brings me to my next question to Shankar. Like, if you can quickly share some of the use cases or conversational experiences that you have with InfoWeb.
Sure. So let me first start with a use case for, I think most of them, I don't know if there are a lot of marketers here, the primary objective is that if I want to use this, I would like to generate more leads. Basically, that's where the money is. So for a lead generation activity, we did this use case with an automobile company, and the idea is that the automobile company every 6 months, 1 year, they have a new motorbike which is getting launched. Again, these motorbikes were under different sections. So you have the basic bikes, the utility bikes, the sports bikes, and those kind of sections. So the idea was that they had a lot of visitors coming on the website, but then the traction got lost because not everyone filled up forms and this like that. So the definition for the lead was that the moment somebody confirms a test ride, they got a lead. So we started this journey of designing this use case on how do we get them on a WhatsApp and do the same activity, right? So this is where instead of, there were advertisements and there are a lot of other activities which the marketing guys definitely did it. But the idea was to pull that prospect from that ad to a WhatsApp page. And we did that very successfully to the number which they were looking for. What happened after that was, the moment the consumer landed on the page, and if you look at this product, it's not a small ticket item, right? It's a motorbike. It's a high ticket item. So definitely, And these are like close to heart kind of products. And there's a style, there's a passion, there's emotion attached to it, which means your decision making is not faster. It takes time. And the decision is based on information what you gather. Now, in today's time, the information is either available, you go to a website, you spend some time screening, which has 20 different things about, it's a technical product, so there are 20 different things. But I'm not literate enough to understand everything, but what I am looking for is something which I have to search for. Whereas, if that same consumer is on WhatsApp, it's a conversation, which is exactly like a conversation where a prospect is sitting inside a dealer's showroom across a table of a sales guy and exactly asking those questions which is bothered to him. It might be, what is my financing options? It might be just about, the typical Indian style, kitna deti hai, the mileage. That's the first question, right? Because motorbikes are in that class of consumers, right? So all these questions are now leading to a conversation which is very specific. And mind you, this is happening between the OEM and the consumer here. Whereas a general practice is between a dealer and a OEM. Now, dealers are not OEMs. Now the consumers have matured enough. They understand that, he's a dealer. But here you're talking to a brand. And the brand is telling you exactly that what is the specification or whatever the questions have come. So this was one of the use case which then started converting those prospects into genuine leads and not somebody who's just trying to, surf through the thing. So this was one of the activity we did in lead. Similarly, on a post-sales service, lot of times the OEMs lose touch with their consumers because you have sold the product, and now the only engagement with the consumer is done by your franchisee or your dealers and something. So the OEMs wanted to understand how is my consumer experiencing the product, how is he getting serviced, and we also brought a use case on WhatsApp where we said, okay, every time a free service is over for the product, the OEM will start communicating back and understand for a product like motorbike, your engagement starts after a year after a free service. So a year is a pretty long time, right? So the association gets built again where you say, okay, now you're back. And there's some very interesting statistics where 75%, or let's say 75 out of 100 bikes never went back to their OEMs after 1 year of free bike. So this is a huge unorganized sector for bike servicing is available in our country. So that's a huge loss for these motorbike companies. So again, bringing back the customer on service game, and there's a lot more use cases which can be built. But at least now I see there's a maturity, and these are the use cases where consumers are in touch with the OEMs directly. And I think this is one of the greatest use cases which I personally feel is fantastic.
No, pretty interesting and rightly mentioned. It's more about understanding the human psychology, the behavior of the users, and then the right time to reach out, with the right messaging and all that stuff. Absolutely. I think time allows us this much only. So I think, I'm sure people must be having more questions. The Info team is around, we are around. Please reach out to us. Thank you very much, Shankar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raghav.
Thank you, Ritika.